Good day again. So my last video was done in a rush, so I give you today an epic spectacle of mystery and magic, of clash and conflict, of light and darkness. These are the mysteries of the Moss Grotto. But before we get into the topic, here a quick channel update. So Friday, PAX Australia stands before the Hollow Knight community. There has been massive speculation from the fandom if anything Silksong related will be shown at PAX. Some have speculated release dates, some speculated area footage, some speculated nothing. To be honest, I don't know what to think of it, but my expectation will always be low, as to not disappoint myself if anything is indeed shown. If anything will be shown on Friday, I will be able to do a quick mini vid before heading off to Krakow, Poland for my holidays. Other than that, I will give a slight overview what I am planning for. So since I have no idea when Silksong will release, as I said many times before, I will finish this mini episode on the Moss Grotto and will then do one on Greymoor, another grander area of Hornet Knight Silksong. After that, I am basically up for anything else, maybe speculation on the Weavers in Silksong, maybe I will do some original Hollow Knight speculation. If you yourselves have any wishes, I'll be pleased to know them for the future. Let's get to business. So, Moss Grotto is the area we probably know the most about, aside maybe Greymoor. It is the first area in the game and serves as a sort of half tutorial area. After the opening cutscene, which I discussed in my last video a bit, the game will start with Hornet lying on the green floor, not moving. A few sounds suddenly come up and a needle lands close to Hornet's body, right before her face. The player then has to hold a button to bind, as the screen says, and Hornet will quickly snatch her needles, starting the game. Now, most people playing the area didn't get this, but if you move right of the cage, so right of the area where you landed, you can actually find a big bug, serving as a sort of hidden mini-boss or Easter egg. Now, this thing hasn't got an official name. Some in the Hollow Knight Discord prefer to call it Dave for some reason, but it seems to be a larger version of a small enemy which you see later on in the gameplay video. He seems to be resting in the small cave, but when you hit him, he rolls into you and deals 2 masks of damage. Since most playing the demo didn't get further into this, we don't know yet of this enemy's role, or what he leaves behind if you defeat him. Since the right is blocked, Hornet has to move to the left, where she climbs a few mossy steps, then destroys a wall with a needle, and now as she moves further left into the next room, Moss Grotto, as the title, will appear on screen. The music finally starting to play. The music for Moss Grotto is calm, not battle driven, but soothing and almost entrancing. Definitely beautifully composed. Props go out to the composer Christopher Larkin. Now in this new room, Hornet can actually spy her first enemy. The Moss Grotto is infested by little green bugs crawling on walls and on the floor. They seem to carry spikes on their backs. Their eyes are dark and empty. Grey faced, these bugs can only give off simplest of sounds, nothing more than a mere animal. There's a flying version of this enemy as well. Their upper half is still mossy, they have wings on their back, and their second body half is grey. As Hornet kills these enemies, they will not drop Silksong's traditional currency, which we know is called rosary, but will instead drop shell shards used for crafting. There are also shell shard caches scattered throughout the area. In the demo, 4 of these caches can be found. As Hornet ventures further down the mossy path, she will find a small lake. White-winged animals flying through the air. She can now make her way upwards and from there on go to the right. Here she can find the aforementioned winged moss bugs. After going to the next room on the right, the player can find weird nets of silk hanging on vines down from the ceiling of the grotto. They look a bit like spider webs. If Hornet strikes this hanging silk, she can take it with her, useful for healing her wounds in battle. In the next room, Hornet can see one of the mentioned shell shard caches but can't reach it with a normal jump. Moving on, the area becomes more rocky with spikes on the ground and above. To the right, the player can maneuver over some rocks and find another shell shard cache. In this rocky area, Hornet will find another one of Moss Grotto's enemy types, a smaller version of the giant white bug found right off the landing place at the beginning of the game, the aforementioned Dave. This little white bug rolls around its rocky platform, stopping in the middle of the rock, perfect moment for Hornet to strike it. No name has been revealed, so I'll just call it the Rock Roller. Now in this first Moss Grotto area, Hornet can also find a hidden gate to the left side of the grotto. It is dark blue in color. In the background there are weird forms of metal with strings in between. The gate is closed and as of now there is no official way to open it. It has been speculated though that these doors could lead to new areas and will have a different location in the final game. Some have said they could have been built by the weaver since the structure bears an open resemblance to a weaver's facial front. The strings of silk in the background could point to the weaver conclusion being right as well. Personally, I believe they might be opened later by a game mechanic such as maybe Hornet playing a needle. If opened, they will either lead to secret rooms or bosses or new areas. Definitely something to speculate about. Now Hornet will enter a new sub-area called the Old Church. This area looks different from the rest of the grotto, more kept intact, not completely overgrown with moss, and looks fairly ancient. A bench can be found on the left for Hornet to regenerate. Moving further upwards will lead Hornet directly into the area where the players are able to fight the first boss in the game, the Moss Mother. Now, if you want to know more about her moveset, her attacks and all of that, I suggest you check out the boss video I made. After the Moss Mother is defeated, she seems to explode with silk while her body parts crash all over the room. Hornet can move out of the area to the left. She can choose to go upwards, but there also seems to be a small room on the left, but you can only see a small table of sorts. Going up, Hornet can also move to the left again, but I haven't seen a gameplay video where someone testing the demo hasn't done that at all. Going to the right, Hornet starts to move slower. A shadowy figure enters the screen to the right. Hornet draws her needle, but suddenly she shakes and stammers. The screen flickers from dark to light, and finally Hornet falls on the ground, unconscious seemingly. The shadowy figure starts laughing, ending the cutscene. Phew, that was quite something. Now, that shadowy figure I often said in my vids is the church keeper, the guardian of the old church. Though I wonder if she knew the mossbog problem she had downstairs in the church. Maybe that's why she came out now, since the problem was solved by Hornet. Now, fans have speculated that Hornet will learn to play a needle as an instrument from this keeper. This musical technique might help Hornet open the aforementioned weaver doors, perhaps. The church keeper will also be a mentor. I am unsure if she will teach Hornet more or if she'll just appear randomly in the kingdom. Another topic to talk about is the Moss Grotto itself. The grotto stands at the lowest point of Farloom, I believe, and if we go by architecture and class, the Moss Grotto is the most basic of the kingdom's places. Its bogs show little form of architecture or civilization or progress. The only real architecture found in the mossy areas are the blue metal doors and the old church, which look so different or so ancient respectively that I don't believe that they were built by the grotto's current inhabitants. Outside of the demo's gameplay, we have seen a few snippets of Moss Grotto gameplay, presumably in the Silksong reveal trailer. In the trailer, some new areas of the grotto are seen, with the inhabitants seemingly standing at a tribal form of life. Some other bogs which players didn't find in the demo are also seen, but they are different seemingly. They do have moss covering their body, but they also wear some form of cloth around their body, and they look different from the moss bogs mentioned earlier. In the reveal trailer, you can also see a giant black enemy wearing a skull summoning one of the grotto's tribal-like villagers, kicking one of the cloth bogs away. Perhaps some enemies Hornet can encounter through the game are at odds with each other. These dark creatures also appear to roam the deep docks, implying that the grotto lies close to the docks in some form of way. Or it just might be a total coincidence. Now, another thing absent from the demo, but seen in the reveal trailer, is a mysterious NPC. From one of the quests shown in the said trailer, we can perhaps speculate that this character is known as the Druid of the Moss Temple. She is seen brewing something in a pot, giving weird sounds away and shouting in excitement when the green liquor, which she brewed in the pot, explodes into the air. The quest I mentioned talks of the Druid wanting certain things collected, in this case maybe moss berries, a collectible item which players could find in the demo. Hornet will probably have to find a certain amount of moss berries, bring them to the Druid and have her do some crazy potions with it or something else. Maybe this Druid will also provide Hornet with tools which you can buy there. The last part I want to talk about is Hornet fainting at the end. Now, one of my friends on Discord actually speculated that Hornet is perhaps just fainting out of exhaustion. Hornet did seem okay prior to seeing the shadowy person, but maybe because of her wounds and such she faints? Or maybe there's some form of spell lying on her. The churchkeeper laughing would imply that either she is the cause of Hornet's fall, which is weird since she seems to be a friendly NPC, or that she knows of Hornet's struggle, as she might have seen it happen before. Anyway, I'll leave the rest up for debate. What are your opinions? What do you think of the area, its music, the bosses and so on? Tell me your ideas, theories in the comments below. Speak soon.